Good afternoon, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started just for the sake of time. Just a little housekeeping before I turn it over to Caroline. This forum is meant to be interactive, so feel free to use the chat box, or if you have questions throughout the call, just pipe up and we're happy to answer any questions. This call is going to be recorded and it will be made available for review shortly after the call today. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Caroline Wolf.
Hi, everybody. Just to introduce everyone who's on the call, we have Lisa Coleman from the left, and we have Jennifer Raby and Mel Van Patten and Leanne Cooper. This may be the last time you see Leanne because this is her last LCT call. She's got another wonderful opportunity, and so she is moving on, but we'll all be able to be working with you, continuing to be working with you throughout the rest of the LCT program. And so I'm Caroline Wolf, and we are going to be discussing a lot of wonderful things today. I'm going to give you a tour of the USAC website, show you some resources that you can find on your own. We've been an introduction to the E-rate program for most of you, but we'd like to show you how you can find some things on your own and not necessarily have to rely on us all the time. But first of all, I'm going to hand it over to Mel, who's going to tell you a little bit about the funding that everyone has received in the Libraries Connecting Texas program. It's really exciting information.
Thanks, Caroline. Just to make it even cooler, I've got a great little graphic for us. Just want to let you know what's been funded so far. As of June 27th, we are preparing to start the fund year on July 1. So far, $812,000 worth of federal funding has come through. Wanted to show a breakout by category of service. So basic maintenance, internal connections, and managed internal broadband services all fall under the Category 2 umbrella of services. And then, of course, data transmission and internet access, that is the focus of the program, of the LCT program, and that is absolutely the bulk of the funding that we have seen so far. Later on in the call, we're going to talk about those applicants who have not yet been funded, but I wanted to point out to you there's just a few remaining, and to show you that we are tracking the current status of the application on a daily basis. Exciting news, we hope, is that Atlanta and Tyler both are showing the application is wave ready. USAC has been issuing funding waves on Thursday afternoons, Thursday evenings, or on Fridays. So we're very hopeful for these two libraries that they'll roll off of this list and will show up on the above list.
Thank you, Mel. That's wonderful. I'm really excited for all of the libraries who are receiving funding. I think we have Henry Stokes who's joining us right now. He's the next on our agenda, so I'll let him have a few minutes to get connected, and then we'll be moving on to him. He's going to tell you a little bit about where things stand with the subsidies that are being dispersed to libraries. This is for people who've participated in the library in 2019. I'm thinking that all of the 2000 or most of the 2018 subsidies have been dispersed. I think only one library is still pending funding for 2018, and that's due to an EPIC issue. Most of you have dealt with that wonderful EPIC that can provide wonderful entertainment or torture, whatever you want to call it. Henry, are you available to talk now about the subsidies?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can
Great.
hear you.
Thanks. Yeah, so we have 2 years of subsidies sort of going on at the same time. So yes, year one subsidies, as Caroline pointed out, were sent out. But what we're doing now is just we're working on the reporting part of the of that year's worth of process. So just like E-rate, you have to have your bills and invoices and things prepared in case you have to provide those to USAC. So just like that, we also have to have those accounted for. So I've set up an online place for people to upload their bills for the E-rate funding year 2018, which was July 2018 to June 2019. So this was the last month of that funding year, and some folks won't get their last bills, of course, until next month. But I've just been sending out reminders and instructions for those folks who are participating in that year one who receive subsidies, just to make sure they get their bills uploaded, and I'll be reaching out to each of you individually as the months progress here to help you with that if you need it, and to check in and make sure those are getting reported on. Some good news, if you aren't able to spend all the funding, there may be a possibility, depending on the situation, that you'll be able to continue to use the funds and just keep invoicing us into the next funding year, depending on what the situation is. You may not have to give the funding back to us. Just we'll look at it individually. I know some folks may not have gotten their services started until later, so then but then they might have been participating in this using the same incumbent vendor, same service into 2019, and maybe we can look at that and let you continue to apply that subsidy into the future months without having to give us the funding back.
That's really good news.
Yeah, it's partly because we were able to continue this. We received this funding from the state legislature for the 2 years, and because we haven't spent it all, we just had our biennium just recently, and we're able to continue to move that funding into the next biennium. And as a result, there's less of a harsh deadline of that August 31st. So it looks like it's quite possible to just continue to roll those funds over beyond August 31st to help folks who need that. Again, we'll have to take an individual look at each library situation and see if it will work for that. But we don't really want the money back, so we're hoping you guys can keep using it. We just have to make sure that will work out. So that's 2018. For folks who are new in 2019 for the funding year that just participated in this last funding cycle, many of you may be participating for your second year, and in that case, only if you improved your broadband this year were you able to be eligible for the subsidy in year two. So for those folks, as well as new folks entirely new to the program in 2019, you're part of our year two subsidy program. And most of you have already received the subsidy. In fact, we've already processed your reimbursement contracts and gotten you your direct deposits. If you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them. Just reach out to me, and I can either send you the copies of the executed contracts. And so as we move forward, of course, many of you receive commitments, and next month, if you'll be maybe even starting services. So just be aware, if you're new to this, that we're kind of starting over with the process, but it will be the same, where you will be set up in our grants management system if you're not already, and I'll be providing instructions and talking more about that as we get closer. You'll be reporting quarterly. That's probably the best way to do it. So in October, that's the first 3 months of the funding year, you'll have 3 bills that you should be able to upload for us, July, August, September, so we can get things going. And just quarterly, you'll be submitting those bills. We made it pretty simple, where it's simply logging in, clicking a few buttons, and clicking upload, and just picking the files, and you're done. I mean, I'm going to be doing the work of actually going through them and figuring out how much you paid and the percentages, and figuring out like how it matches up to the subsidy. And so, yeah, if you have any questions about that, let me know. But for the time being, we're just holding off until that point when we're ready. But that's year 2. Are there any questions about that before I go forward? All right, great. Well, yeah, again, you have my contact information. We're excited to be able to continue to provide this. There's even a possibility with funds left over, we can continue to provide subsidies in future years. So I'll keep you posted, but it looks like we have some flexibility here, so I appreciate that. As soon as I have any more news about the future of the program, of course, I will share it with everybody. We're just kind of working out the details.
Thank you, Henry. That's good news that it might continue. I think everyone has enjoyed the benefits of these subsidies, and it's good news that there might be some more more of it to come out later. Okay, so Mel, next on the agenda is the applicant training day.
Well, we've got some important E-rate items to be working on, kind of the timeline items, maybe some current action items. And so that first one is for those libraries that we showed that are currently unfunded, or their applications still going through review. They're going through Program Integrity Assurance, or PIA review. So I'd like to have Leanne give us kind of a summary of what they should be looking for, what they should be working on.
Thanks, Mel. As Mel had mentioned, there's about 11 libraries that are still awaiting their funding commitments. Don't panic if you haven't received yours yet. It's not uncommon. USAC's goal is to have all workable applications funded by September 1st. But it is important, if you haven't received your commitment, to please monitor your emails and look for communications from PIA reviewers. We are also trying to monitor on a daily basis any review questions that might come along. If you do receive an inquiry, you have 15 days to respond, and of course we are happy to assist you with the response. You just need to, we just need to make that connection.
Thanks, Leanne.
Thanks, Leanne.
Oh, I'm sorry, Caroline, go ahead.
No, I just said thanks, Leanne.
So the other thing that you should be working on right now regarding funding year 2018, which is getting ready to wrap up at the end of this week, Sunday, I guess. Jennifer, what should they be working on?
Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is the SPI invoicing method. And if you're using that invoicing method, just make sure you received all of your credits for this funding year that ran from July of 2018 through June of 2019. We just want to make sure you've gotten all your credits. And if you're a little bit late in making your decision, just make sure that you're seeing the credits, whether it's a lump sum or whatever. But we just want to make sure you're receiving those. And if you're going to do the bare invoicing method, just make sure you have all of your information to prepare your Form 472, and that's going to be your 498 ID and your PIN number. And if you have any questions about that or need any assistance, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're happy to assist you. And again, the deadline to file for recurring services that ran from July of 2018 to 19, the last day to invoice for those is October 28th of this year.
Thanks, Jennifer. So Lisa, we've got some new applicants to E-rate, and they are preparing to start the first funding year starting July 1. What do they need to be working on or looking towards?
Thanks, Mel. Be prepared to start new services on July 1st. It's important to submit service cancellation notices if changing providers. Confirm with service providers that new service is ready to be turned up. If you are continuing existing service, the only thing you need to do is communicate to your service provider your preferred invoice mode, whether bare or SPI.
Thanks, Lisa. So Leanne, for all of these applicants that have already gotten their funding letter for 2019, what do they need to be working on?
Yes, so once your funding commitment decision letter has been issued, we're asking you to please follow the steps that we provide you to create and certify your Form 486. And the Form 486 is your receipt of services and your SIPA compliance. If you haven't filed the Form 486 yet and are SIPA compliant, we ask that you do that as soon as possible so you can start receiving discounts July 1st. If you're not yet SIPA compliant, reach out to us with your situation or your questions so we are able to guide you and get that in process. It is the easiest of all forms to do. It should take 10 minutes or less of your time, and we're happy to be on the phone and walk you through that.
Thanks, Leanne. All right, Caroline, back to you.
Thank you, everyone. And I do want to add that for the invoice deadline, please note that regardless of whether you are using the BEAR method or the SPY method, the invoice deadline is the same. And so if your service provider hasn't completed invoicing USAC by the end of October, you should be reaching out to them or talking to us about extending the deadline, because you don't want to miss out at the end of the funding year. So do pay attention to your bills and make sure that if you are using the SPY method, that you're getting full use of those discounts. I don't know if anyone else noticed, because if you're filing for E-rate, you should be getting the Schools and Libraries news brief every week. It should be coming via email. USAC has put out the registration for their fall training, and Farmers Branch, Texas is one of the locations. We're really excited to hear about that, because we know that all of the people in the area who are filing for E-rate are going to want to go to that training. So please check out the training registration and plan to be there if you can. I know that the DC training filled up pretty quickly. I'm not sure where this one is at this point, but do, if you think you can make it to the training on September 23rd or 24th, it should be a really good way of learning more about E-rate and kind of making sense. They do have a beginner's training for people who consider themselves to be beginners, which I know many of you do. So definitely at least go and look at it if you think you might be able to attend. So the next thing I wanted to do is we wanted to show you a little bit about the USAC website. It's just to help you find things. I am going to share my screen with you and show you a little bit about how to find things. So the USAC website isn't just the EPIC website. It consists of, this is our website, by the way, and it's also a good resource, and that's eratecentral.com. But this is the main site I wanted to show you. In order to get, yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We cannot see the website. We're just seeing your screen.
I moved
there it is.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Sorry about that. So the USAC website has a link on it right here, this login, and it allows you to get to EPIC if you want to, or you can get to eFile, which is for service providers. And again, this is for service providers. So really the main thing that you're going to want to go to from here is going to be EPC. And that's the website that we use for all of our forms except for the BEAR. The Schools and Libraries site is what we use. That's our program. There are other universal service programs, but the one that is for you, the one that's E-rate, is Schools and Libraries program. In order to get to this website, you would go to usac.org/SL. On the left side, there are navigation tools, and on the main part of here, there are also some links to things that you might be interested in, such as the news brief that I just referred to that you get usually every week on a Friday, and some other information about things like the EPC is going to be out from June 30th to July 1st. That's kind of a significant thing if people are going to need to do things. So make a note of it. And then this is the special edition news brief that told us about the USAC training. The right side shows the service provider processes, and that's not something that you probably are going to be interested in. The things that you're really going to probably use the most are going to be right here in this little area. The eligible services list can be found here, and that's going to be important to you pretty soon because the Form 470 time starts July 1st. The Form 470 should be available on July 1st for those people who need to file a Form 470 for 2020. That is the next funding year. I know it sounds like you just submitted your applications for 2019, but it's time to start thinking about 2020 already. The eligible services list for 2020 hasn't come out yet. It hasn't been approved yet, but you can use the 2019 one as a guide if you want to start early on your Form 470. We're going to be reaching out to you soon and just giving you a heads up. But you should know that if your contract is expiring soon, if your contract is expiring in 2020, then you should plan to file a Form 470. If you are filing for month-to-month services in 2019, then you should plan on filing a Form 470. Those people who start early tend to be less stressed out. So think about that. Again, here's another link to the E-Rate Productivity Center where most of the forms are filed. The forms link is where you would go to get to the bear. So all of you who are preparing to file bears for 2018, you should go to this website, click on forms, and go to the FCC Form 472. That is the bear. And you would click on File Online to get to the bear. Notice that you must have a PIN. That's what Jennifer was talking about earlier when she said that you need to make sure you have a PIN. You cannot even start a bear if you do not have a PIN. So make sure that when you're getting ready to start your bears that you have available to you at your side your BIN number, your PIN, your email, and your last name, because your PIN is in there by email and last name. The reference area, now for all of the other forms, you're going to be using EPC to submit them. So the main one that you should be concerned about in this area is this Form 472, the bear. The reference area is where you would go to find out information about various things. For instance, you're a library, so libraries calculate their budget for Category 2 services using square footage. And so if you want to know how to do that, you can go to the reference and Category 2 budget, and it will tell you how to calculate your Category 2 budget. There's a link to the Category 2 budget tool if you've already used your Category 2 budget, some or not at all, or some or all. You can use the Category 2 budget tool. It also gives you the information that you'll need to calculate your Category 2 budget. So if you are a library with IMLS locale code 11, 12, or 21, you actually get a higher dollar amount per square foot when it comes to calculating your Category 2 budget. You get $5.32. Let's just put it that way. In order to calculate, they use all of these numbers, but generally it started out as $5. And then everybody else gets $2.30. If your budget calculates to be $9,200 or below, you get a $9,200 budget. So this is for 2019. This is how you calculate it, by using these things. Schools calculate by the number of students that they have at each school. For libraries, you would calculate this for each branch that you have. So if you have multiple locations and you have branches, each branch would have its own Category 2 budget. And so this has a lot more information about Category 2. So I know that generally with LCT, it's generally oriented towards Category 1, but we really encourage you to use E-Rate if you need to purchase new equipment such as switches or or routers or wireless access points to enhance your services to your patrons. Some of the other things that you might be interested in are the tools. You can actually see what commitments you have by going to some of these search commitment tools and the funding tools. If you have requested a deadline extension, the deadline link works. The 498 ID status can be helpful to those of you who are going to be filing bears. The only thing is that you need to have your Form 498 ID in order to be able to find out what the status of your Form 498 is. So when you submit your Form 498, make sure to note what the Form 498 number is, because that's how you look up that. And some other things that you might be interested in looking at are the service provider spin search tool. The spin search tool will help you to know if your service provider has filed their service provider annual certification. You can see for this one, Charter has lots of spin numbers, but they've filed SPACs up to 2018 for most of them. This particular spin hasn't filed a 2019 spin yet. I mean SPAC yet. So, but there are lots of them. So, anyway, is there anything that people are interested in? Maybe Henry says that he'll be at the Farmers Branch training, by the way, so y'all should plan on going. I am wondering if anybody has any questions or anything that they would like to see that I can show them on the USAC website. If there's something that you're really wondering about that I can help you with, please speak out and ask a question. So generally, if you want to find out more about document retention rules or something that you might be interested in, there's trainings and outreach site is another thing that you might be interested in looking at. There are webinars on this website that you can go and watch, and they do have an archive of webinars that you can use. There's an online learning library with videos that show you how to use EPIC or show you how to file the Form 470 if that's what you're getting ready to do. This is a good time during the summer. I know E-rate can be very boring, but you might want to just do a little exploration yourself, an independent exploration of so a category. Yeah, I see that. You want to do a category 2 search for somebody to see how it calculates it?
After that, I was going to suggest you show them where to go to sign up for the USAC weekly news brief, just in case they aren't already.
That's right. So if you certified a Form 470 or 471, I think they automatically add you to their mailing list. But if you're not getting the news brief, I'll show you how to sign up for it. So the Category 2 budget calculation tool. All right, I'm picking on Reeves. This is the C2 budget status for Reeves County Library. Their approved pre-count discount budget is $18,388.20. Their C2 budget is $28,154.98, and the remaining balance is $97,6678. So that's So, okay, Armandina hasn't been funded for Category 2. Is there a way for me to find out about it? There is a way to find out about your application and the status. That is in Epic. The best way to do that is to go to Epic and find your form, and I can show you how to do that in Epic. So it's pretty simple. All you do to find out what your Category 2 budget is, and I'm going to pick on you, Armandina, since you're asking. There is your remaining balance of your Category 2 budget for 2019. We'll look at that. So it shows what was approved pre-discount over the years. So this is 16, 17, and 19. It's showing that the commitment status for that is pending. So this is a shortcut way, so that if you wanted to know about C2 funding, it does show the FRN commitment status for your applications for C2. But there's another way too in Epic, and I can show you that. Anybody have any questions about the C2 budget? Okay. So schools and libraries program, I am going to go to EPC and log in. Okay, so you, to find out yours, you would go to your landing page. And so when you log in, you'll get to your landing page. Because I have a different login, it's not going to go directly to a library's landing page. So I've gone to San Juan, and in order to find the Form 471, we can go to Forms, Form 471, toggle to the year that you're concerned about. You can see that the Category 1 application has been committed, and because this says certified, that means that the application has still not been funded yet. And if you click on it, it'll show the review status. In this case, that Form 471 status is assigned to initial review. That means that the library should soon be hearing something from a reviewer asking for documentation, or maybe not, but usually that's what that means. For Category 2, you're often asked to provide service provider documentation of the services that you're requesting. So that's how you find out what the review status is, by looking there. There are other ways too. There are lots of download tools and things that you can use, but the easiest way is to log into Epic and go to your Form 471 and look at the status.
So breaking news, Caroline, USAC just issued the funding waive, and we have 3 LCT libraries, Tyler, Atlanta, and Killeen, in this wave. So congratulations.
Congratulations. That's exciting. It's great that you heard it first here, unless you're checking your email while you're on this call. Oh, Henry's excited too. We're looking at the chat. So is there anything else that we can show you on the USAC website or in Epic that you might need to know or you might be curious about? I know that sometimes it's like a big foreign language to you, and you may want to know something and you don't know how to find it yourself. It's okay to speak up too if you want to say it out loud. Any questions? Any other things? Mel, Jennifer, Leanne, anything that you can think of? Any frequently asked questions that I might show you? Oh, so that you wanted me to show. What was it that you said, Mel?
How to sign up for the newsletter.
Sign
the
up.
Weekly news brief. Yeah.
Find out how. See right here, if you go to trainings and outreach, down here there is newsletters, and you can click on subscribe now, and you can sign up.
And just to clarify, this is a different newsletter than what we sent out to the LCT libraries. We send out a newsletter from E-Rate Central that is specialized for the LCT program. So this is, in addition, this is a different newsletter. This comes from the program administrator, USAC.
And currently, there are not any scheduled webinars, but you can keep checking to see. Sometimes that they will say something in the news brief about when they have upcoming webinars. We also have webinars that are available to you. Most of them we've sent out, and we also have recordings of our LCT monthly calls. So if anytime you miss one and you'd like to find out what happened, you can log in and go to YouTube. So I think we're wrapping up the tour of the USAC website. So what else do we have on the agenda, Mel?
I think that was it, followed by questions. So if there are none, thank you everybody for taking time out of your busy schedule with all your summer reading programs and other programs going on. And you know how to reach us. Until next month, we will talk to you then. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.